right, welcome for this live stream today where we are going to code step by step a blockchain explorer for the Ethereum blockchain. This is going to be a super interesting project, and it's also going to be a great addition to your portfolio if you're trying to learn Ethereum and build a nice portfolio so that you can find a job, or if you just want to learn Ethereum, it's also a great project for that. So if you're new here, I'm Julian. I'm the founder of this channel. I started as a blockchain developer in 2017. And so on this channel, I show you how you can become a blockchain developer. So if you are completely new to this channel and you want to know how to get started as a blockchain developer, check out my free roadmap. This is a free training that will give you everything that you need to know, that will tell you the exact roadmap to follow in order to learn blockchain development. It will tell you what are the best opportunities right now for blockchain developers. And it will also tell you how to find your first job in the space as a total beginner. So eattheblocks.com/roadmap. I'm going to put this in the chat. All right, so hi everybody in the chat. We have Justice, we have THX. Okay, so I hope that you guys are excited for today because this is going to be a really cool app. So without further ado, I'm going to do a demonstration. So here today, basically, we are going to build a clone of Etherscan. So Etherscan, this is a blockchain explorer. That's an app that is very, very popular in the blockchain ecosystem. And that basically allows you to explore the data of the blockchain. So, you know, the blockchain is this distributed network. But if you want to be able to look what's inside this, we need an application like this that is an easy way to see what's in the blockchain. So a typical use case is you use a decentralized application. This decentralized application will give you a transaction hash. So that's basically an ID that identifies a transaction that you just did. And then you copy paste this transaction hash in this blockchain explorer, and it will give you the confirmations. For example, here we can see the latest confirmation. So let's say I was given this transaction hash in some dApp. So now I can see on Etherscan that this transaction hash was successfully included in the blockchain. We see the success status here, and we see the detail. We can see what happened. So the assets that were transferred, the value that was transferred, the transaction fee, etc. And so that's a very, very important tool for users. So we are going to build the same thing, and that's actually a really great project to learn about the data structure of the blockchain. So here, let me show you. So of course, we're not going to build absolutely everything of Etherscan. This is going to be a simplified version. You know, Etherscan, this is a team. They have like tens and tens of employees. Of course, we're not going to do this just in one tutorial, but I want to show you how does it look like. So this is the home page. Okay, and let's take a transaction hash like this one. All right, so here let's copy paste it. Let's click on search. And here, basically, we're going to be redirected to another page, and we're going to see the detail of this transaction. And this is, but we did this. This is not Etherscan. This is the app we're going to do tonight. And another thing you can do is this app also is check the balance of an address. So here, let's take an address here. Let's copy paste it here. Let's click on search, and now we can see the address and the value in Ether. And maybe if we have time, we're going to add the balance also in tokens. Okay, so it looks simple like this, but you will see that it's just not so simple. So this is what we're gonna do today. All right, so let's get started. So first of all, however, very quickly, the different technology we are going to use tonight. So we are going to use JavaScript because this is going to be mainly a front-end application. We are going to use Next.js, which is a very popular framework for front-end application. We are going to use Ethers, which is a JavaScript library to interact with the blockchain. We are going to use Infura, which is a popular API for the blockchain. It allows you to interact with the blockchain in an easy way. By the way, if you just for the anecdote, initially I was actually thinking of using the API of Etherscan to create an Etherscan clone, so it's a bit recursive. But unfortunately, their API is not so good. They have a free tier, but you cannot do much. So in the end, I changed to Infura. And what else we are going to use? And we are going to use a library for some icons. So Bootstrap icons, an easy way to get many icons. And yeah, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so let's get started. So here I have my terminal and I've created a new folder. And so I've created a new Next.js project with npx create next app, and then this will create a new Next.js app in your local folder. All right, so now let's open VS Code or whatever code editor you are using. Okay, and here we're just gonna do a few modification. All right, so let me scroll, zoom in a little bit so that we can see more clearly. Okay, so let me see. Let's do some cleanup here. So here I prefer to call this style.js for the layout. Okay, so let me fix the layout a little bit. So what do we do in layout? So now it's going to be style.css. So this is some basic file to set up the base of your application. So here the title of our app is going to be Blockchain Explorer, and we're going to call this Explore the Ethereum Blockchain. Okay, and now let's go to page.js. So that's basically our the home page. Okay, so by default, Next.js give you a home page, but we're not gonna use that one. Okay, so let's just remove pretty much everything. Okay, we also don't need those two things here. Okay, so on this page, basically what we want to do is just show a header so that the user understands where they are, and we're gonna put a search bar so that people can search a transaction hash or an address. Okay, so we are going to do this. Yeah, so let's go. So we're gonna give some class here because we're gonna do some styling after in the CSS. Okay, so let's give a title we're gonna give a title to our app, ETB Blockchain Explorer, right? Then let's create a header to explain what this is about. So the Ethereum Blockchain Explorer by Eat the Blocks. And after, let's create some content. And basically we're going to create a form with just a search bar. So text input here, okay. And this is a type text, okay. And we're gonna have a placeholder, so basically default text, and this is gonna be search transaction hash address, okay. And what else? Yeah, no, we don't need the other element like this. We can just close it directly, okay. And then we're gonna have a button. Why it doesn't like this? Cannot have several. Oh yeah, okay. No, my bad. There's no type address. This is just type text. Then we're gonna have a button. So ID submit, type submit, and our text gonna be search, okay. So now we can run our app, and we're gonna have some default npm run dev. So let me see. Okay, so now let's check out in the browser what we have. So localhost 3000. Okay, so this is working, but this is ugly. But this is not a problem because we are going to style this. Okay, so let's open style.css. Let's remove everything. And let's apply some basic style. So body, no margin. Title, let's increase the size a little bit. Let's put some padding. Let's align this. No margin. And what else? Okay. So let's see what we have. Okay, so it's slightly better for the title. Now let's keep going, and let's do now the header, background. Let's give it a background color of okay. So I have a spatial color here. I put the same. I use the same color as Etherscan. So basically, I have an extension where I can find this very easily. Here, pick color from page, and then you click somewhere, and it's going to copy the color into your clipboard. So it's very very convenient. Okay, so then then what else do we have? So color, this is going to be white. Okay, text align center, font size, this is gonna be slightly bigger than the title, and the padding, so we're gonna give it some breathing room. Okay, so now let's see how does it look like. All right, so looks slightly better. And next we are going to style the content where we're gonna have our search bar. So let's give it some breathing room as well. And now we're going to style the address field, because right now it does the default styling and it looks really ugly. Okay, let's increase the font size. Let's give it some padding. Let's make it a little bit wider, because we're gonna put some address or some block number. So especially addresses. I'm gonna put addresses or transaction hashes, and those can be pretty big. Then we need to give it some margin on the right to separate it from the search button. Then border radius 0.5. Okay, border 1 pixel solid. And here I have my color already prepared. Okay, some light gray. Okay, so let's see how does it look like. Okay, I think it's probably because maybe I'm missing. Yeah, I think I'm missing an ID here. So let's do this. Okay, so you can see it looks a little bit better now. So when it's focused, let's give it the same color as for the submit button. So outline 1 pixel solid. And here I'm gonna take another color from Etherscan. Okay, and now we just need to start the submit button, and after we can start to implement the logic in JavaScript. So submit. Okay, so let's increase the size. Let's give it some breathing room. Background color, so blue of Etherscan. Then color white. Border, no border. Border radius to make it more stylish. Border 1 pixel and okay, the same color. And finally, what about when it's we hover on it? So we want to change the color because that's what user expect in general. So background color, and we're going to give it a color a little bit more dark, this one, and the cursor is gonna become a pointer that's in line with what you see on most websites. Okay, so now if we see this, yeah, it looks better. This being said, we are missing something. We want to center this. Okay, so we're going to center this. So let's use the flex box, flex direction row. Justify content center. Okay, so now this is at the center, but we are missing just a little thing. Let me see. I think we have content at 2 places here. Yeah. Okay. So let's fix this. This is not good. Let's clean this up. Otherwise, it's just messy. So. All right, and for the, we're gonna give it a background color here. Okay, okay, so now it looks slightly better, right? Okay, great, but now if we click on search, nothing is going to happen. So we need to put some logic, okay? So let me see here. We are going to connect a function to this button when we search it. So when we click, no, first of all, we need to save the change of the address. Actually, it's not just the address field because we can put the transaction hash as well. So let's do on change here, and let's pass the event object to oops, miss an E, and we are going to update a state that we're gonna call search val. I'm gonna pass the event. Right, yes, just like that. And now we're going to define a state to this component. So let's call this search val, set search val, use state. So that's basically some basic React stuff here. Since we have a state, this is a client component, so we need to use client. This is related to how Next.js work. Here, let's import the use state function of React. Okay. What else? We also need to update the input when the value change. So let's, with the value here, this is going to be equal to search val. Let me see. Yeah, search val, okay. And now the submit button, we are going to connect it to an event handler. So let's call this search. And now let's define this search function. So yeah, event, and the first thing we want to do is to prevent default, otherwise the form is going to be reloaded, the page is going to be reloaded. This is not what we want. And let's console log the search val to make sure that it updates like we want. Okay, so let's type abc, oops, okay, so here already we can see we have, let's reload this. Okay, we have a problem here, so I think I know what it is. We don't want the full objects saved in the state. We just want the e.target.value. Okay, let's reload. So okay, now let's click on search. And what happened? BC. Okay, so yeah, it's working. Amazing. So now, yeah, now we have nothing. Okay. So what is the next step? The next step is that we are going to redirect to another URL when we click on search. So for that, we're going to use the use router function of Next.js. So use router next navigation, and with that, in the search function, what we're going to do is we're going to use the router. So router equal use router like this, and after that we are going to redirect. So we do router push, and let me see, let's assume we have an address. Okay, now let's assume we have a transaction. Let's start with the transaction actually. Transaction. Okay, so then we're gonna put the search value. Okay, but now we don't have this URL, this route defined yet, so we need to do it. So in our Next.js app, let's create a new folder that we're going to call transaction. And after, we're going to create a subfolder, because in Next.js, routing is basically based on your folder structure. So here the path we want to have is /transaction/transaction hash. So here between square bracket, we're going to have this subfolder. So yeah, it looks ugly in terms of a folder name, but that's how we do it in Next.js if we want to have dynamic route. So here, this route means that transaction, that's the beginning of our path, and then The dynamic element is the hash that we have after. So after that, let's create a file there, page.js, okay? And over there, we are going to create a component. So let's do this. Export default function transaction. And let's extract the parameter because this is how we're gonna read the hash. Okay, and we're going to copy paste some boilerplate code here. So here this return statement, let's copy paste it in over here. Okay, and so of course the content is going to be different. So this time we are going to have an ID for the transaction. Right. And let's make sure that everything is working fine. So now I want params.hash just to make sure that we have the correct parameter. So transaction. Okay. So now let's select a transaction that actually exists, like this one, for example. Here we are. Okay, so let's click on search. Error, what's your problem, my friend? Invalid hook call. Hooks can only be called from inside of the body of a function component. Let me see, what kind of mistake did I do? What kind of mistake did I do? Oh, okay, I think I have an idea. Let's go back to page. I think the router, we have to call it at the inside, at the root of the component, but not inside a function. Okay, well, whatever, it doesn't matter to me. So let's copy paste again the transaction hash. Okay, let's click on search. And now we can see the URL has changed. So now it's a /transaction/ the transaction hash, and we are able to read the transaction hash also in our component. So this is working. All right, are you guys following in the chat? You still there? Say hi. Say hi to me so that I know I'm not alone. Okay. So now we are going to finally hit the API of Infura and get some data. Okay, so the first, let me see what kind of data we need. So let's check the different field. So we want a transaction hash. Yeah, this one, no problem. I mean, we already have it, so we can just put it. The status. So this one, we will be able to get it. The block number here, yes, no problem. It's timestamp that's attached to the block. The transaction action, it's gonna be a little bit difficult because well, in this case, we are just sending. Okay, so I guess for a very simple case, we could maybe do it if we see that we have a non-zero value here and the transaction data field is empty, meaning that there is no smart contract action, then we can just write, okay, that was an Ether transfer. But in any other case, if there is an interaction with a smart contract, it's more complex. So we are going to skip that transaction action. From to, that's easy. value, that's how much Ether was transferred. Yes, that's easy. Transaction fee. It's possible that we will need to do some computation here, but we will be able to get this information. And gas price as well. So yeah, most of what we see here, we are able to get it. So now what we can do is basically we can start the HTML and display already what we have. So okay, so for each of this row, what are we going to call this? So content here, let's call this transaction, and each row we're gonna call this a field. Okay. And it's gonna have a name, so that's the name of the field, like transaction hash, for example. And beside this, it's gonna have a value. And so this value, in this case, this is gonna be params hash, okay. Something like this. So now if we check this, okay, so yeah, it's displaying what we want, but it's really ugly. So let's do some basic styling. Let's go in the style sheet, and here what we're gonna do. So first of all, in our transaction, let's define here the transaction. So we're gonna put some border around the transaction, right? And we are going to use here the same light gray that we had before. Okay, so then the background color is gonna be white, and border radius, yeah, some radius to to have a nice border. Then for each field, this is gonna be a flex element with some padding, and then for the name, so we want also a light gray here to reflect what we have on Etherscan. So this is gonna be this one, and with a fixed width. Okay, so now let's see how does it look like. Okay, so I think there's a small error here, because this is not what I meant. I didn't mean all of this to be gray. So let me see, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? So transaction EEE. No, it's not EEE. Sorry, FFF. Yeah, no, white is F. Okay, now it's looking better. So if you compare with what we have here, yeah, now it looks a little bit more similar. Okay, so now we need to do the success status. So for that, we are going to check the API of Infura. So with Infura, you can send some API call to their Ethereum node. So you don't need to run an Ethereum node yourself. You can use theirs. And the endpoint we want, they are called JSON RPC method. And so there are different one. Some related to transactions, some related to gas, some related to blocks, some to send transaction. But most of them, it is just read-only to read data. So we want some information about transactions. So let's check out what we have. Get transaction by block hash. No, get transaction by hash. Okay, so that's interesting. are we gonna have the success field here? There is no success field here. So each transaction, get transaction by hash, will tell you what you had in input. Okay, when you send a transaction, this is basically a signed data package, and so here you see all the details of this transaction. But if you want to see what is the result of this transaction after it was run, you need another endpoint, which is called get receipt. So let me see where this is. Get transaction receipt. Okay, so after the transaction is run, it will tell you different things like what's the result. We can see this where, one of the following here. So status, yeah, either one, success or failure, okay? So this is the field that we want. So now how are we going to call this? Here they give you an example. Okay, so we're going to copy this. Let's go in a transaction component. And here, let's copy paste above. Okay, so we are going to define a function to call the API of Infura. Okay, so let's call this get transaction receipt. Okay, async, and we're gonna pass the hash of the transaction. And inside, we're gonna store the result in this variable, and after let's make the API call. So we're gonna use the fetch function to do the API call. Okay, and we need so the URL here is gonna be this with our API key. However, this URL, we're going to need it a couple of times. So let's define it above in a variable. So yeah, let's do this. And for API key, so we are going to read from our .m file. So .m file, this is a secret file that you can use to store your secret. So here you can see that I have it here. So I'm not going to click on it because I have some secret on it. But basically, this is how we read from this file, process.env API key. And on this file, so here, let me show you. .env. So on this file, basically, we're going to define it like this: Infura API key equal. And now what you do is that you go to Infura, you sign up for a free account, and in your dashboard, you're gonna be able to get this API key. Okay, and this is free. There's no need to pay. So you paste it in .m file. And after you can read this value, and you also need another thing. So we need this package .env in order to read from this .m file, and we need to call the config function. Okay, so let's install this. So npm install .env. Let me see. All right. We've installed it. So now Infura URL is defined. So let's put it here. After, we are going to specify the headers to make a JSON a JSON request. So the headers, this is basically some field of your HTTP request that you need to have when you are making a JSON request. So here we're basically saying, hey, we send you JSON, and in return we also want some JSON. The method we are going to use, so that's the HTTP method. This is going to be post. And why is this? Because this is what Infura tells you here. So you just have to listen to what they say. Okay, Oh yeah, by the way, here, all of this is a JSON object. So, I mean, an object. So let's wrap it in an object. Okay. After we need to give it a body, and this body, so everything is going to be a stringified JSON basically. So stringify. And inside, let's specify the different field. And if you want to know which field, you check out what Infura tells you. So first of all, JSON RPC 2.0. Okay. Then what else do we need? So for the method, we need this field. If get transaction receipt. Okay. And what else do we need? We need some params. So params that are here. So this is an array with the transaction hash, and that's it. So here, let's define an array, and we pass the hash, so that this is an argument of the function. And is it everything? And then we need to specify an ID. So this ID, this is arbitrary. You decide what it is, and it's going to send you back this ID, and that allow you to try to internally in your code to when you have a response to basically this is if you need it on your side. Personally, I've never needed that, but you need it. I think this is part of the JSON RPC protocol, because here this way of specifying the parameter actually this conform to this how to say this sort of protocol called JSON RPC. Anyway, this is just a low-level detail. We don't care. Just need to be there. It doesn't really matter. So now let's get rid of this. Okay, so now we have a get transaction receipt. This is not everything. So now we need to extract a JSON object from that. So how we do this, we do rest.json. So now we have a readable JSON in this variable. And what we're gonna get is under the result here. This is the response. So there is this key result. This is what we're interested in. So let's return rest.json.result. Okay, amazing. So now we're able to call this function here. How are we gonna do this? So receipt await get transaction receipt, and let's pass it the hash so that we read the hash from the params object here, and let's make it an async function so that we can use await. Okay, and now with this receipt, we can get the transaction status. So let's duplicate this, and now we're gonna call this status. Okay, and here let's see receipt.status. So let's see what we have. Okay, cool. So 0x1, so that's basically 1. And in the documentation of Infura, they tell you if you have 1, that's success. Okay, so we are going to display something a little bit better, because 0x1, that's not great. So if receipt status is 1, then what do we do? If this is 1, we are going to put success. Otherwise, we are going to put failure. Okay, so so let's see how does it look like. Yes, and now it's nice, but you know what? I want to make it nice. I want to make it like this, okay? So we'll style it a little bit more. So how are we going to do this? It's very easy. We just wrap it with a span, okay? Let's give it an ID. Okay, then success. And what we're gonna do also is we're gonna give it an icon, because on Etherscan here they also have this little icon. So how are we going to do this? That's easy. Bootstrap icons. Let's go there, and we're going to search for the icon we want. So that's check. And we want this one, check circle field. So we copy this, we add it just here, we add some space, and now to make it work we need to install a Bootstrap icon. So in order to do that, what you need to do is npm install bootstrap icons. Right, and after that we need to set it up in the layout. So let me see, layout. So import bootstrap icon font bootstrap icon.css, okay. And we're also going to add some style. So let me see. Let's define a success rule here. And for the color, basically I took the same color as on Etherscan. So the color of the font, then the color of the background is a little bit more lightweight, okay. Then let's make it bold, okay. Let's give it a border. This is gonna be the same color as the font. Let's give it a small radius. And let's give it some padding. Okay, and let's make it slightly bigger. Okay, so now let's see in the front end what we have. So module, okay, we're missing a T. Module not found. So import bootstrap. Okay, here bootstrap, yeah, correct. Okay, amazing, look at that. Now it looks much better, right? Looks much more professional. Okay, so let me see what we have in the chat. Josh, Joke Ramirez, I'm not sure if I pronounced well. Hi, Karim, you seem really good at JavaScript. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm not like the best guy. I'm decent. Should I improve my skill in this language before focusing on Solidity? No. No, you can get into Solidity right away. If you already have some basic programming skill, that should be no problem. And so basically when you do Solidity, you have a choice. Either you are a full stack blockchain dev, so you do front end and smart contract, or you just do smart contract. But the most in demand in the blockchain industry, this is the specialist of Solidity, because the problem with JavaScript is not so unique. But if you want to do your own project without, as an entrepreneur, without any team, yes, JavaScript is cool. Or if you want to work for some small project that need some people who can do everything, then JavaScript is more useful. Okay, so we have the status. What do we need next? So let's check out. We need the block number. So I don't think we're gonna get it from the receipt here. So let me see, block. Block number including this this transaction. Okay, so actually we do have it. So yeah, I mean, in this case, no need to make another request. So let's use that. So let's duplicate a field, and let's call this block. And let's do receipt dot block number. Okay, let's see what we have in the front end. All right, so here we have a block number, but we have this ugly format. So that's a hexadecimal number in base 16. So in order to change that to a readable number, we're going to do number here. That's to convert this hex into a normal number. And now, yes, so I think it's probably 2 million. Anyway, like a big number. You know what? Let's check. Let's compare it with one of the latest number that we have. So homepage here. So 200, 839, let me see, 200, 827. Yeah, so I mean, we are not too far behind. So we are not as up to date as Etherscan, but the block number still makes sense, okay? So that's good. What else do we need? So we need a timestamp. So are we gonna get a timestamp with what we have here? Block hash, block number. So we don't have the timestamp. Okay. What about get transaction by hash? Do we have a timestamp? I don't think so. I think this is only at the block number. So there's no timestamp here. So that means we need another endpoint. And probably we need to get the block. Okay, so let's check out get block. We should have a get block somewhere. So where is it? Get uncle, no. Get code, no. Get get block by hash. Okay, this is what we need. So get blocks by hash is going to give us a couple of data about the block, including the timestamp. Okay, so that's what we need. So let's copy paste the curl command here so that we can create a function like we did before. Okay, so you know what, we are going to copy paste the previous function because this is going to be pretty similar. So let's call this let's give it a proper indenting. Okay, so get block, and so this is post also. Get block by hash. Okay, if get block by hash. So let's replace this here. And yeah, so we also need the hash, but this time this is the block hash, not the transaction hash. So that's gonna be different. Params. So this is gonna be the block hash, and then comma false. So let's do this. Let's another ID here. Okay, and the rest will be the same. So now let's remove this. And let's call this function here. So get block. And here, let's not get confused. Okay, we don't want to pass the transaction hash. We want to pass the block hash. So receipt dot, and let's see the documentation of Etherscan. So it was get receipt. Where was that? Where is my get receipt here? Get transaction receipt. Okay. And it was block hash. Okay. So here receipt dot block hash. So you see here what we do is like we use the first endpoint, we get some data, then we use another endpoint, but by using the data of the previous request. So you chain request like this. Okay, and now let's get the time. Let's display this timestamp. So let's duplicate this. Let's call this timestamp, and this is gonna be block.timestamp. Okay, so yeah, so now we have the timestamp in hexadecimal as usual. So we need to show it in a better format. So actually, I think the most useful format is like this, like how long ago. And turns out there is a library that allow you to do this very easily. That's moment.js. So moment.js basically allow you to manipulate, display time in various formats. And there is a function called from now. And this is what we want to use. Okay, so first of all, let's install moment. So it's a npm install moment. Okay, so here let's pull up my terminal. Npm install moment. Okay. Then let's import moment. So import moment from moment in here moment dot Unix. So in order to instantiate a moment object from a timestamp, we need to use the Unix function, but I don't think this is going to work because we have this hexadecimal format, and I don't think that moment knows how to handle this. So I'm not sure. Let's try. And then once we have our moment object, we're gonna call from now. Okay. So now let's check here, and yeah, amazing, 4 hours ago. So let's check that it matches the info here. 4 hours ago. Okay, amazing. So now we're good. I'd like to have this little clock here. So, you know, it's this little detail that make your app much nicer, and it's not necessarily a lot of time. So let's check here in the icon. So clock, and yeah, this is exactly this one that we want. So let's get this class. Okay. By the way, here Next.js doesn't want, well, it's React exactly that doesn't want any attribute of class. They want class name. Okay, so here let's put our little thing. Let me see, is it? No. This is outside JavaScript, like this, okay? So is it correct this way? I think so. And let's give it some space. Okay, so now let's see. How does it look like? Yeah, nice, you see? It's really nice like this. Okay, amazing. So let's keep going. Let's see the next information that we need. So transfer action, as I said before, we're not gonna do it because this can be pretty complex depending on which transaction you make. If this is like this, a plain vanilla ether transfer, that's okay. But if there is some smart contract action, it can be more complex. Then we're gonna do from and to. So let's do that, from and to. So from and to, but from and to, I don't think we'll be able to get this from the receipt. Let me see. Oh no, we do actually get transaction receipt from and to. Okay, well then this is perfect. So receipt dot from, okay, and receipt dot to. Okay, and you know what? Today I'm being super annoying with CSS. I want the nice line like this. Okay, so yeah, it's my day like this. Like I'm not always like this, but today I'm like this. Sorry. So let's do our nice border here. Border bottom. Border bottom 1 pixel solid, and let's pick light gray. Yeah, okay, this, and now below, I think that was below timestamp. Let me see. Yeah, timestamp. So border bottom. Okay, and this is also below this one. Border bottom. All right, now we have a nice separation. So what else do we need? We need the value transferred. So I think we have it in the receipt. Let me see. From to block. From to, and no, we do not have it, unfortunately. So we are going to need to get the transaction. So that's another endpoint, and this will give you the value here. Yeah, that's one of the fields. Okay, so we need to hit this other endpoint. So let's do another function. Okay, let's copy paste here the previous function. Actually get, I think this is going to be more similar to this one. Get transaction receipt. Now it's going to be get, oops, sorry. Get transaction. So transaction hash. Now this is going to be if get transaction by hash. Okay, the parameter, this is the transaction hash, and that's it. So it's pretty easy. Okay, hash like this. And yeah, and that's it. So next, let's get this transaction. Params.hash. Okay. And now we can display the value. So let's duplicate the field here. No border for this one. Value. And let's do transaction value, but you will see that we will need to do some work on that. Okay, so we have a value, but a nice decimal value, so it's not working. So what if we do this? What if we try to transfer transform it into a decimal number. So it's also not right because that's the value will be given in Wei, which is a small fraction of Ether. So you need to transform this into Ether. So 10 power 18 Wei equal 1 Ether. Here you can see on this transaction that the digits are correct, but not the decimal point. You see, it's much, much smaller. So in order to fix this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a library called Ethers. I mentioned it to you before. So actually the latest version is V6. Yeah, this is annoying. When you search this on Google, the first result you find is V5. So a lot of people get confused, but actually you wanna check V6. And they have function to transform the unit. The one we want is called format Ether. This one, format Ether. So it's going to transform a Wei value into an Ether value. So first we need to install the Wei library, npm install ethers. Okay. And what else? Now let's import it on top. Import ethers from ethers. Okay. Let's go down. And now we're gonna do ethers.format ether transaction value, and after that let's add a space and we add ETH. Okay, let's save. Let's see how this is going. And yeah, now this is working. 0.48 something. This is the same as Etherscan. So this is perfect. Amazing. Okay, so what else do we need for that, for this transaction? So now we're gonna need the transaction fee in Ether. So let's see if we have this in the get transaction receipt. Transaction fee. So we have the gas used. Okay. We have the effective gas price, but we don't have the transaction fee in Ether. So by combining this effective gas price and gas used, that's we are going to get our transaction fee. By the way, here, don't get confused here. There are two different things. So you have the gas parameter of get transaction of the transaction object. So if you go to get transaction by hash, this is what you provide in input. But how much gas you actually use, this can be different from the limit you set in input. So what you put in input, that's a maximum, but it's possible that you consume less. This is in the same for the gas price. So here in the transaction, you have the real gas parameter that were actually used in the that were realized, if you want, in the transaction. So this is what you want to use. So we want gas used and effective gas price. So let's do this. So let's go in our component and let's define this gas price, and let's use int because what we're gonna get is a string. So this is a typical mistake in JavaScript. You know, you get some string and you do some operation. You use a plus, for example, and you think you're doing a plus, but you're not doing a plus. What you're doing is you're concatenating two strings. So you need to explicitly first transform the string to a number, and this is what we do here. So receipt dot effective gas price. Okay. And now gas used. So pass int, and this is receipt dot gas used, and now we need to do some multiplication. So transaction fee. So what we need to do is gas used time gas price. Okay, so here the units are important. So gas used, the unit is gas. Gas price, the unit is this is weight per gas. So the two gas the two gas units are going to eliminate them, cancel each other out, and we just have weight remaining here. So then we need to transform this. Let me see. We need to transform this into an Ether transaction fee, to transform weight to Ether. And so for that, we're going to divide this by 10 power 18, because 1 Ether equal 10 power 18 weight. Okay, so now let's display this. So we call this transaction fee. Okay, and transaction fee, and this is in ETH. Okay, so let's check out in the front end. 0.0022 something. Let's see the real thing, and that's the same. Amazing. So next, let's display the gas price. All right, so here let's do gas price, and we're going to do gas price time. So this time we need to transform the gas price, which is initially given in Wei, but we want it in Gui. So to go from Wei to Gui, we need to divide by 10 power 9, because 1 Gui equal 10 power 9 Wei. And here this is Gui. Okay. And so now if we go here, 10.5 Gui, which is correct. Amazing. Very cool. So now, you know, we can we can put any transaction in our tool, and it's going to, we're going to be able to see the transaction detail. So that's amazing, but that's not all I wanted to show you, because I wanted to show you that this search box we did can be, can have different function, and we can also use it to search for addresses exactly like Etherscan. So how are we going to do this? Well, let's go back here to the search box, and we need to go back to the page, our home component, and in the search function, that's what it's called when you click on search, we need to have an if statement. So we need to test if what we have is an address or not, and we can have this with the ethers library. There's a function for that. So let's import ethers, and in the search function, what we're going to do is if ethers is address, and here we're going to pass the search value. Then if this is a search value, an address, then we are going to go to another page. Otherwise, we're going to assume this is a transaction. So let's push something else here, and it's going to be address/address. Okay. So now let's create this other page. So let's create a new folder called address and oops, just 2D here, okay. And inside, this is a dynamic route, so dynamic part is also address, okay. And let's create a new file, okay. And now let's, you know what, we're going to copy paste the transaction component because I feel like this is going to be a little bit similar, okay. So let's open here the page. Let's lower this a little bit. Okay, so let's call this what's address. This is not gonna be the same. All of this, so we're just gonna keep one, but all the rest, this is not gonna be the same. Okay, so we need to do a few changes. Moment, we actually don't need it here. Let's check out what is the endpoint for to get the balance of an address. Okay, so here let's go to infra, get balance, okay, here if get balance returns the balance of an account for a given address. Okay, so this is what we need. So let's copy paste this. Now we're gonna call this get balance, and as input we're gonna have an address. Okay, now the method is if get balance. Okay, so let's modify this. What about the parameter? So you have the address, then comma latest. Okay, so let's do this. Address latest. Cool, and that is all we need. Okay, so let's get rid of that. So now I actually don't need any of that. Gas price, etc. I also don't need any of that. And we're gonna call this address. Okay, so here let's get the balance. Get balance of param dot address. Okay. And here we're going to get rid of almost everything because we're just gonna have two fields for now: the transaction, the address, and the ether balance. So let me see. So first, address params dot address, and then the hard. Okay, let me see the vocabulary that is used exactly on Etherscan. So they call this ETH balance. Okay, so ETH balance, and we're going to use just balance. But if we do this, I think we're gonna have the same problem as before, where it's gonna be a 0x something, so not very user friendly. So let's copy paste an address to do the testing. All right, search. And okay, so the styling is off, and we're going to fix this, but first let's fix the value. So the address is correct, and now for the ETH balance, let's fix this as well. So like before, we're going to do ethers format ether, and this is all we need. And then ETH. Okay, so now this is better, but now let's fix the styling because now it sucks. So let's check out what we did for okay, here I think there's a conflict with there is there is a conflict with the there's a conflict with the search bar. You know, the search bar, we also called it address. So how maybe we shouldn't call this address, actually, the search bar. We should call this search val. I think that's better. Search val. Okay, so that's here. This is search. Okay, let me make sure we haven't broken anything. So yeah, no, we haven't broken anything. Okay, so now it looks slightly better, but still not. So let's go back to style. And okay, this is what we want to copy. Transaction. So of course, if you refactor, you can probably do like less class and do like some better CSS. But hey, we are on Eat the Blocks, okay? We're not on Eat the CSS. Huh? So I think for a blockchain channel, my CSS is pretty solid, okay? And do I deserve some praise, guys, for my CSS? Let me know, how do you find my CSS in the chat, please? I need some love, right? So, and now it's looking good. Look at that. Perfect. So originally I finished the tutorial at this step. However, I was thinking that perhaps I can try to freestyle and show you how we could get some token balances as well. But it's going to be slightly more complex, because here, if you see the endpoint of Infura, they just give you the native endpoint of Ethereum nodes, and we don't have anything for tokens, you know. I can search, but if there is an endpoint for token, this is something that Infura added, but this is not something native to Ethereum node. So yeah, no, we don't have it. However, with Infura, it is possible to read value from a smart contract. And to get the token balance of an address, we are going to execute a function in a smart contract. So we can still do it. We just need more work. So how are we going to do that? Well, first of all, we are going to need we're going to decide which token we're going to check. So let's make it easy. Let's just say we're going to do two of them, Tether and USDC. Actually, let me make sure that we find an address with both of these. So here is actually my address. I do, okay, let's just do USDC. And once we do it with USDC, we can do it with anything else. So I do have some USDC. So what we're going to do is we need some information about the smart contract. So we need, let's create a file first. Let's call this token.json. And first of all, we need the address of USDC. So that's very easy. We can just do, let's see, Etherscan USDC. All right. And the token contract is this one. So that's the address. And now what about the ABI? So the ABI, that's a JSON object that defines the interface of this smart contract. So this smart contract here of USDC, you can actually read its code. You click on code here, and you can see the code of the smart contract. So if you never heard of smart contract, that's, you know, the small program in the blockchain, and they are written with this programming language called Solidity. And to interact with this language, we need to call some of these functions. And so the function we want is balance of. Let me see. So Where are you? Balance off. Oh, I know. It's because okay, it's actually slightly it's slightly more complex because this is a proxy. So this is like a sort of intermediary smart contract that is in front of the actual contract so that we can do smart contract update. But anyway, there is a function in the actual USDC contract. There's a function called balance off. This is the one we need. So we need to have this JSON, this API, this JSON interface so that we can interface with the smart contract. And so I already got it. You can just Google it, API of yes 20 token and you will find this. So here, for example, this GitHub gist was enough. So I copied this. Let me see. Where is the copy? I thought, how can I copy? Okay, whatever. Let me do it the good old way. Okay, so let's copy this. Let's go to our file. Let's paste this, and now we will see balance off. Okay, here you can see that this is a function that is in output. So in input, you need to provide an address, and in output, it's going to provide a balance, so an integer that tells you how many tokens this address has. Okay, so we have all the info we need. What else do we need? So we're actually going to define another function for this. So get token balance. Okay. And yeah, I think the argument is an address. Oops. And we are going to use the Infura API, but in a different way this time. So let me see. Here is not going to be this. Let me see. No, it's actually not going to be like this at all. So we are going to use the Ethers library. So how it works? First, we do Ethers provider and then JSON. Okay, actually I don't remember the syntax, but it's something like this. JSON RPC provider, and then we pass the URL of Infura, something like this. So let's check out the documentation of Ethers, Ethers v6. Okay, JSON RPC profile. Getting started. So connecting to Ethereum. Okay, no, this is not what I want. No. Let me see, because they have, okay, this is what I want here. Okay. So we need to get this provider object first, and the URL, this is going to be the JSON RPC URL to Infura. So you will also find this in your Infura dashboard. It's different from the API key, but it's going to be something like https mainnet.infura something, and then maybe here you're going to get some secrets that uniquely identify you. So you should not show this URL. You should keep this URL private, basically. And I've already put it in my process.env file, and I call this Infura. Let me see. How did I call it? Infura RPC URL. Yes. Okay. Then what else do we need once we have this provider? So we need to create a an object that points to the USDC smart contract. So actually here we need two address. Let's do token address and wallet. Okay, here. So our function is a little bit more versatile. It can be used for to check the token balance of different token. So now what we're going to do is instantiate this contract object. So I also have a blank. So you know what? This is completely okay. We just going to copy paste here from the documentation of Ethers. So how do we instantiate this contract object? So we do new contract. It's ethers.contract. Here, this is the first argument. This is the address of the contract. So for us, this is going to be token.usdc. No, token address. This is what we pass in argument. Okay. For the ABI, this is going to be token.abi. So let's import this. Import token JSON from token. Actually, we need to go back to level token.json. Okay. Here it's token JSON. And the provider, we just defined it before. And finally, once we have this contract object, we are able to call function on it. So the actually, let's call this token. Okay. And now we want to call the balance of function, and let's pass it the wallet. Okay. Let's get the answer, the response. Okay, and just return the response here. Okay, so now we need to call this from our component. So how are we gonna token USDC balance? So await get token balance, and let's pass it here. So the token address will be token JSON dot USDC address. Okay, and then the wallet will be params dot address. Okay, and now let's console log this USDC balance, because I just want to make sure, verify what we got. So it's really possible there is a small mistake somewhere, but keep in mind that here I'm freestyling. This is a part I haven't prepared, so yeah, please cut me some slack, okay? So nothing. What about here? Node.js. Hey, we have no error. Wow, this is crazy. So here we do have this number. Okay. It seems like we do have the correct USDC balance. So this is a big number, meaning that this is something that a big number. This is a JavaScript library to represent really big number, because basically the problem is like the biggest number that you can represent in JavaScript is way lower than the biggest number you can represent on the Ethereum blockchain. So to avoid some problem, we use this library to represent this big number from the blockchain. And here, so obviously we don't want to display this to the user. So do you remember format ether that I mentioned before? here we're gonna need the same thing because this USDC balance is also in elementary unit of the token, but it's not in the token itself. So let's say this USDC balance, I tell you you have 1,000. It doesn't mean you have 1,000 USDC. It means you actually have a very small fraction of USDC. So we need to transform this sort of USDC cent into real USDC. And for that, we're not going to use format ether. We're going to use format unit, format units with the S. Format units, okay? First, you need the big number-ish object, which is what we have, and then we need to specify the unit as either a string or a number. So the unit will be the number of decimal place, and on USDC this is 6. It's on most other stable coin like USDT, etc. This is 18, like Ether, but for USDC this is 6, and many people get confused with this and they make mistakes. So here, let's do this format units. Okay, so what's happening, my friend? You're not happy? Format no, I know why it's not happy, because we forgot this. Okay, so now 7,200, and which seems correct to me. So okay, and first of all, let's duplicate a field. Let's call this USDC balance, and now let's copy paste this USDC balance. Okay, and now it's gonna be USDC. Cool. Now let's see the front end, and wow, yeah, it looks correct. 7,000 something. Let's see what is the actual balance, and yeah, 7,000 something. Amazing, guy. I made it. It was completely freestyle, but it works amazing. And so now you can use the same technique for any ERC20 token. So the only issue is that you need to predefine them. There is no way to basically to ask Ethereum, hey, give me the token balance of all the tokens of this guy. You have to know the addresses in advance. So you could do it programmatically, but that's way more complicated. Basically, you would need to listen to all the. Let me see. Can you do it programmatically? Well, no, because in any case, you always need to know in advance the address of the token. So no, there's no easy way to do it. But yeah, I think we have made a really nice little app here, and of course you can keep working on it. Actually, that can be a great project for your portfolio. You can check out some of the feature we haven't implemented. One of you're probably going to run into a limit, which is the API of Infura, the free version. They won't let you. They might throttle you at some point because you use them too much. So and you might be limited if you just hit the API directly. So if you really want to do a very robust tool, what you need to do is you need to have two separate parts. One part will be the backend, and the backend is going to have some sort of cron job. So at a regular interval, you're going to send some request to Infura, and you're going to fetch some data and save it in a database like PostgreSQL, for example, or NoSQL. And then your front end is going to hit your database, and now you won't have any problem of throttling or what, because your database, you can hit it as many times as you want. And it's also much easier to have some historical data if you do this. And really, the absolute ultimate level is if you run your own Ethereum node. So in this case, you can you don't need even the API of Infura. You just hit your Ethereum node yourself, but that's next level because running your own node is a lot of work. But you can see that already with the tools we have at our disposal and with just a couple of hours, we can do something pretty cool. Okay, guys, so I guess this is it for today. Before we finish, so yeah, for those who are new to blockchain, make sure to check out my roadmap, etherblocks.com/roadmap. It's going to tell you everything that you need to learn to get into blockchain, the opportunities you have as a blockchain developer, and how to get your first job in the industry. Okay, guys, so is there any last question in the chat? Any last thing? No, you're already all sleeping since a long time. Have been doing a monologue during all this time? No, I hope not. Okay, guys, so let's finish here for today. Thanks to you all, and I will see you next week. Bye.